Almost everything in life worth doing is guarded by a gatekeeper called the dip. If you want to change your life and get the kind of results that most people only ever dream about, you have to master a certain skill that sounds completely counterintuitive: the art of strategic quitting. The thing is, if you're building a YouTube channel that's stuck at 100 views a video, launching digital products that just aren't selling, or you feel like you're screaming into the void and no matter how hard you try, this video might hurt a bit, but it's going to save your sanity. The feeling you're not getting anywhere isn't necessarily a sign you're failing. It's a sign you could well be on the verge of a massive breakthrough. Because the difference between creators who achieve superstar status and the 99% people who fade away to nothing is how they handle something they can learn in the 60 minutes it takes to read this fantastic little book. Today, I'm breaking down The Dip by Seth Godin. This has literally changed my entire perspective on this whole online thing. It's tiny. It's only about 80 pages. You can finish it in an hour. But in that hour, you'll learn exactly what to double down on, and more importantly, exactly when to quit. The Dip was actually first published in 2000, but honestly, it's more relevant today than ever because the competition online these days is insane. To survive, you don't just need to want to succeed, you need a blueprint or a plan, if you like, to get you there. And as the book says, you have to understand the extraordinary benefits of knowing when to quit and when it's time to stick. It's based on 3 curves, and this was a big aha moment for me. Basically, it explains that in any endeavor or anything worth doing in life, you're almost certainly going to be on one of 3 curves. And if you don't know which one you're on, you're essentially gambling with the time that you're putting in. Curve 1 is the dip, and obviously that's the title of the book. This is where you start something. It's fun at first, and it's kind of excited, and things seem to be going okay. You get a few subscribers, maybe make a few sales, but then the honeymoon period ends and the long, painful slog begins and this is where the views drop and sales completely flatline and the excitement disappears. But if you're genuinely in the dip curve, it's actually your greatest asset, as you'll see in a minute. The second curve is the Cul-de-Sac. This is French for dead end. This is the danger zone. This is where you work and work, but nothing changes. Doesn't get better. Doesn't even necessarily get any worse. It just is. Most people just stay here because it feels safe. But a cul-de-sac always it's a dead end to nowhere. Curve 3 is the cliff. This is where things seem to be going well, or seem to be going really quite well, until they're not. For example, think about building your entire business on a platform that could pull your account or ban you altogether. That's what people do on YouTube and social media all the time. And that's when you're building a castle on a cliff. You don't want to be doing that. The thing is, this little book forces you to look in the mirror and ask yourself, am I in a dip, in a cul-de-sac, or on a cliff? Now, when you know you're in a dip, you should never quit. In fact, you should lean into it, get more determined, put in more effort, invest more. Put yourself in a position where you drive yourself to the other side. Because a dip is like a moat. If it was easy to get 100,000 subscribers or $10,000, $20,000 a month in sales, everyone would be doing it. But the rewards are high because the dip is hard. The struggle that you might be in or that you might be feeling now is the gatekeeper filtering out the wannabes who aren't that serious about what they're offering. This was like a second aha moment for me, because when you think about it, people are always flitting from one opportunity to the next, especially when they don't get results quickly. They're effectively chances or opportunities or on a path to nowhere because, as I said, they don't really believe in their product or service. But people who are genuinely serious about what they're offering and do have total faith in their products and services, they will stick at it. And the payoff is that when you push through the dip, you become rare. And in the digital economy, rarity or scarcity equals real value. In other words, you become valuable. And this is the part where most people go wrong. How do you know whether you're in a real dip or not in a cul-de-sac or on a cliff? Because if you are in a cul-de-sac or on a cliff, the book says you must quit, and you must quit now. If you've posted 50 odd videos and you're not seeing any improvement in the growth of your channel, no more views or anything like that, you're in a dead end. You're in a dead end niche, or using a strategy that's no amount of hard work is going to fix. It's a broken strategy. Likewise, if you've spent ages creating a digital product that's just not selling, but you don't want to give up on it because you spent too much time, effort and energy put into creating it, you're in a cul-de-sac, and you either need to change it to improve demand or quit on it altogether, which is brutal but true. The thing is, successful people are strategic quitters. That's what this book teaches you. So they've got the guts to quit the wrong things so that you can go all in and put that energy into the right things, the right dip. Take people who go through the gym, for example. Gyms thrive on people giving up on their workout routines and lose the enthusiasm to get going, but keep on paying their membership. Whereas the people who get the big muscles and the toned body, they're the people who push through the dip, who keep going and going and going and just keep at it and push through and get there till they get the results. But there's nothing wrong with quitting the gym if you genuinely haven't got the desire to go push through the dip and get the body or whatever you want to do. There's nothing wrong with quitting the gym, as long as you quit your membership as well and use the money you're saving on that for something else that benefits you. And this is the important lesson of this book. Being a strategic quitter and quitting the right stuff that benefits you is actually a smart move. Basically, the important lesson in this book is how to handle the pain in the middle, in the dip. But although funny enough, Seth Godin talks about, he says that the worst time to decide to quit is when you're in the middle of a dip. Why? Because that's when you're effectively, you're making a decision based on pain and not strategy. In fact, he even goes so far as to say you should quit before you start a project, or ask yourself, or am I willing to spend 6 months of no sales to reach the other side? Or am I willing to upload 50 videos with no views to learn this YouTube thing? If the answer is no, quit. Don't even start. Quit before you begin is, as I said, that's a smart move. Quitting in the middle of a good dip is a waste of the time that you've spent already, and a waste of the possibility that you could just be on the edge of a breakthrough. The thing is, if you're in a dip in the middle already, it's really hard to be objective about it, especially if you spent time, effort and energy in getting as far as you have. But you have to be brutal with yourself. If it's not going anywhere, really it is time to quit. And don't be fooled by the overnight successes of what you see. Even Mr. Beast spent years in the dip before anyone knew who he was. Microsoft failed with Windows and Word multiple times before they hit on something that worked. They didn't quit the market, they quit the tactics that weren't working. So if you're in a dip or things aren't going quite as well as you planned, think about this for a second. Obviously, if you decide that, this is worth sticking with, and you think about who started your channel or decided you're going to start your digital product business. The person who started was a visionary. The person who's got 30 videos in with no views or no sales or whatever is a cynic. Never let the cynic make the decisions for the visionary. That's what you learn in this book. You learn the art of strategic quitting, and whether you should push through the dip or move on to something else and use your time to something that's going to work rather than hit a cul-de-sac or a dead end. It's so good, this book. It really is a must read for anyone who sort of feels they're flatlining. Okay, so there we are. If you're struggling at the moment, do yourself a massive favor and grab yourself a copy of The Dip. As I said, it only takes about an hour or so to read, and it might turn out to be the most important hour of your day, your week, your months ahead, possibly even your years ahead. If you've not read it, really is worth that hour. No problem. If you have read it, read it again. It'll remind you of things that you've probably forgotten and put a lot more into perspective. As I said, read The Dip and go find your dip. Figure out what you need to quit today so you can win tomorrow. Okay, that's it for today. Just before I sign off, if you got anything out of this, as always, please like, subscribe, share, and all that stuff. And comment. Let me know what you think. Are you in a dip, or are you on a cul-de-sac, or even on a cliff? I'd love to hear. On that note, until the next one, ta-da.